If you're looking to get a behind-the-scenes glimpse of Unbounce or just learn a few new things as a current user, this video is for you. Today, I'm going to show you how to create a landing page in Unbounce, navigate the interface like a boss, and point out some important settings and features you don't want to miss. I'm Adam Markfeld, owner of ParaCore, a pay-per-click lead generation agency. This is the fourth video of 9 in my ridiculously simple guide to using Unbounce, an online landing page builder. I created the comprehensive video series for people like you to cover how to use Unbounce from a marketing perspective. My goal is to give you a leg up on the competition by helping you master all the features Unbounce has to offer. If you want to skip ahead to a specific section in the video, check out the description below. I've included an outline with time-stamped links. So now comes the fun part. Without further ado, let's do this. When you first log into Unbounce, this is the dashboard page that you see with all of the pages you've created shown in front of you here. So these are a variety of different pages that we have running at ParaCore. On the left-hand side, we have a number of groups, and then here are some settings for pop-ups and sticky bars, domains, users, and other settings down here. In this video, we're primarily going to talk about creating a new landing page, looking at the editor interface, and then looking at settings for individual pages. When you're creating a new page, the best place to start is by creating Create New Page in the upper left-hand corner. There are really 3 different methods for creating a new page. The first and most common is to use a template that's been created by Unbounce already. Unbounce's templates are awesome, and they're categorized over here on the left-hand side depending on what you want to use them for. So if you have an event, you can click the event category. If you have a consultancy, you can click that category. And then when you click on the template itself, on the right-hand side, you're going to see a preview. Most people can just start with these templates and do a really great job. They're generally mobile friendly. They have the forms already made out. They're just pretty awesome. If you want to get more custom, you can create a template from scratch, starting with a blank page. This is a lot more difficult. It requires a designer to make a landing page that looks great and already knows some of the best practices for converting. It also requires someone very familiar with Unbounce to then convert that design into an Unbounce template, or maybe the designer already knows how to use Unbounce. But this is a much more lengthy and extensive approach, but still an option if you want to do a blank page. And then you can also do the template builder, which is just more of a wireframe or outline of a template. And another approach, although I prefer to just start with one of these others and then just add new photos and text based on your business. The third method for creating a new page is to actually buy landing pages from a third-party website called ThemeForest. ThemeForest is a marketplace for a lot of different types of designs like WordPress websites, print material, just all sorts of stuff. And I'm going to go over to the website right now and just do a search for Unbounce. When I search for Unbounce, you can see dozens and dozens and dozens of Unbounce templates. You actually have 9 pages here, maybe more if you hit this right arrow. And you can buy each one of these, and all these are different templates that you can then upload into Unbounce. This is the most popular one at 1,260 sales, I believe, or at least the most popular one I'm seeing. When I click on the flat pack, you'll see that it's $23. It has 19 plus landing pages and then PSD mockup files, and it's Unbounce compatible. So you have all these different landing pages. If I click on Live Preview, this is going to take me to just kind of a landing page for ThemeForest, but then I can click on any one of these to see a demo. So I'm going to just say View Demo, and this is an actual Unbounce landing page demo. So you'll see unbouncepages.com/here, Flatpak Elegant Responsive. This is a page you can download and then upload to Unbounce, swap out photos, change text, swap out the video, and you'll be in pretty good shape. Some of these look a little bit generic. They don't look awesome. Others look really amazing. So you can spend quite a bit of time navigating through ThemeForest, just looking at different types of landing pages. This one has 0 sales. However, I think this is one of the newer ones. And this would be probably pretty good for like a law firm. Like I maybe swap this out with lawyers or something. It's very professional. So you can see a lot of different types of landing pages here. Now, when you do buy those, you download a file, and you would think that you can just add them here when you're creating a new page. However, there's no place to actually upload a new template. So you actually have to hit Pages here on the left-hand side. And then in the upper right corner, you see Upload an Unbounce page. When you click this button, you then navigate to the file with the .unbounce extension and then upload it. Now, this only appears on this one page, so that's it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. Sometimes we have to look for that. when I was starting this video, I actually had ParaCore selected as a group, and it's not there either. So you have to click Pages and then click that button if you want to upload a third-party theme forest template, or if you're just maybe bringing in a landing page from another system or a client, you can upload those pages here. All right, so I'm going to create a new page, and I'm going to choose a lead generation page, and I'm just going to do Smile Dental. So here's the example, and I'm going to say dental lead generation. Start with this template. Now when the editor loads, you're going to see this page, which is your editor interface. And I'm going to talk about a couple different portions of this page and go into light detail on each of the elements, but this gives you a pretty good idea of what your editor looks like. At the top here, you have undo, redo, moving sections up and down, setting things forward and backward. This is similar to what you might see in PowerPoint, for example. This section right here has the page that we're looking at, but then you can also click this form confirmation dialog, and this shows you what it looks like when you have a form that is popped up when someone finishes the form submission. So they put in their name and email and they hit submit, this form pops up, and you can then have them maybe take a different action, downloading a free guide. If you're using a pop-up form, that will also show right here as a separate tab. So it's important to kind of pay attention to this area because you're going to be updating different elements of your landing page here. So when I go back to the page, when you look here on the left-hand side, these are each different sections. So these little blue things are section dividers. So if I pull this down, I'm actually going to be creating a new section. And this right here, this section is kind of the same thing. So I can drag that in. So I just created two sections. One way I did it was by dragging it down. And then another way I did it was by pulling this thing, pulling this one in. And so when I close this up, this actually creates a little bit of padding. I want this more formal section. And this allows me to then pull in text if I want to. So when I pull in this piece of text, I have all of these options here on the right-hand side. I've got border options, the size of the text box, and then when I click into it, I double-click. Now I can change the fonts. So I have Arial, Georgia, a lot of the standard fonts. I have different colors I can choose, styles. So this allows you to change all of your font settings, just like you would normally do. And now it's in this section. I can also pull in a photo. If I pull in this photo, I'll now have an image gallery selector where I can either upload new images down here at the bottom or select an image that's already been uploaded. So I will select Dustin, who works with ParaCore. All right, so now Dustin's image has been added. I can also pull in a button. Buttons give you quite a few different options. You can change the size, obviously, and then they have different actions. I can have it go to a URL, go to a URL in a lightbox. And a lightbox is what pops up that shows people different information like downloads or filling out a form. I can have it call a phone number, which is really great if you're on a mobile device. If someone clicks the button, then it'll actually call a number, or just open up an email editor and send an email. So by pulling this button into the page and then changing some of these options here on the right, you can change the functionality of the button. So contact us, right? So you can change the text. You can make it dynamic text with dynamic URL replacement and change the font family, the style, the appearance. These are all of your options for that single button. And with these templates, they generally come in a theme. So you notice that this button came in green with the same font already. So that's really nice because you don't need to keep changing the design all the time if there's a theme associated with it. This next option down here is a lightbox button. And a lightbox button allows you to open a box above the page if you click it so that it can be a form submission that pops up. So instead of maybe having this form here, which is embedded in the page, by hitting a lightbox, it can actually pull up a form and just show it to you basically no matter where you are. You'll notice also that when I pulled that on, now you have this lightbox section where you can basically add whatever you want. So you can add new images to this, or you can add embed code or videos. So maybe you want a lightbox that says watch video. When you click that, then you pull in the embed video code and you embed your YouTube code right here, and then they watch the video on an embedded lightbox, which is really cool. Or you can pull in some custom code or something like that. If I want to go back to the page, I'll hit back to page here. And now I have my lightbox button. I click it, and I'm basically selecting the action, show a lightbox, go to URL in the lightbox, call a number, send an email, things like that. So this is very similar to the regular button, but it actually associates with a lightbox and shows a lightbox. The form option here is grayed out because you can only have one form per page, and this one already has one. So when I double click this form section, these are the three fields that we have available: name, email, and phone. And these, you can then pull in additional extra fields. So you can pull in a checkbox, a radio button, drop-down menu, or a hidden field if you're doing something like UTM parameters. They have predefined fields down here. So I might pull in age and add that. I just clicked it. Now the field label is age. So I'm going to say, what is your age? You can change the label. You can also hide the label if you don't want to show it for some reason. You can do placeholder text. And then you can decide if this is a required field or not. So someone will then just type in their age. This field name right here is what's used when someone is submitting the form and maybe you're sending it via Zapier or an integration. This is the field name that you're going to want to be aware of. So you can do drop-down menus, all sorts of things. Like gender is already predefined, so you have male, female. So it's really easy to add fields. If I hit done, you'll actually see now that those fields were added, but it kind of messed up my formatting. So I'm going to pull this section down to extend it, and then I'm going to pull this call to action down also to make sure that this looks the way I want it to. And I'm actually going to pull this green background as well. So even though these are pre-designed, you're going to be modifying them and you're going to need to make some adjustments. And now this form looks good, looks like the way that we wanted it, right? So we added the age and the gender. We needed to shift things down a bit, and that was pretty easy. I just showed you embed video a second ago on the lightbox. You can also pull in custom HTML code if you want, which is anything you want to embed. There are some limitations on that so that the scripts are secure. You can pull in a social widget that allows the consumer to see Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. You can change the layout so they see different variations of that. You can turn these on and off. You can use a custom message if someone is sharing, preview the tweet here. You then use the URL and the Facebook page. So you use those options in order to configure this social widget. On the left-hand side, so those are the elements that you can pull in, which are really important, obviously, for building out your page. Now you'll notice this little arrow here on the left. This one is really important, because this shows you a hierarchy of your page. And I'm going to close this side so that we have a little more room. Now I had added this section down here, and let's say that I added this section and it doesn't look good, which it doesn't, and the client's like, you know what, I don't want that. You could delete it, or you can hit this little eye icon here and just hide it. And that hides the entire section, which is really cool. If you're using a template to create your page, there might be something you don't want on here. You may not want this award-winning practice has been featured on section because maybe you haven't been featured on anything and you're just trying to get a page up really quickly. So when I click this, the testimonials section comes up. I'm going to collapse it, and then I'm going to hide it, and then it's gone, which is really great. I can also show it again and it'll reappear, but I can just hide it for now and then maybe use it later. And this section in here is really important to use if you're having difficulty kind of structuring your page or things just don't seem to be lining up the way you want them to. You can use this section really easily to kind of get your bearings. You can also just show and hide individual elements if you want. So I might want to hide this header hours or show it, and that's really nice. The other way that you use this content section is when you're building out on a mobile device. This content hierarchy is only specific to the desktop version that we're looking at right now. So that's important because if I hid the testimonials section and then I go over to mobile, which is turned on, I can actually show the testimonials section. You'll see it actually just reappeared right here with the eyeball on. And the positive side of that is that you can build specific sections for just mobile and just desktop, and then hide and show them depending on what view you're looking at. So maybe you want this to say something a little bit different or have a different button in this section just for mobile instead of desktop. So you could duplicate the section, add a button on mobile, not have the button on desktop, and then you could just kind of rename this as testimonials desktop and then testimonials mobile. But if you want both of them to be hidden, you actually have to hide on both. And so now I've hidden on desktop and I've hidden on mobile, and when I publish the page, it'll be hidden on both. But if I didn't go over to the mobile interface and hide it, this testimonial section would be visible in the mobile. So you have to be a little bit careful about that. I kind of glossed over it, but this bottom right-hand corner here is where you switch from desktop to mobile. So in the upper left, you have form confirmation dialog, page, and lightbox, and then down here, you have desktop and mobile. So for all of your different elements, you want to make sure the desktop and the mobile look good, because mobile's seen just all over the place these days. All right, I'm going to hide this. I'm going to go back to page. The other piece that I'm going to show you, you can also hit this contents button, and that'll show you this menu bar. So I wanted to show you that. If you don't notice this little arrow, you can hit that. With the JavaScript and style sheet section, you can add different pieces of JavaScript. So we have CallRail, remarketing, Crazy Egg. These are done at the account level, at the client level, but then you can also add custom ones just for this page. So you would make your selection of before the body end tag, after body end head, and then add it here, and then copy in your code and hit save. Otherwise, these scripts are actually, they're at the account level, but they're with your domain. So these are applied to this domain. So these will all show up with your page that you've just created because they're at the domain level. So that's really important. The same is true for style sheets, although you really only add style sheets at the, at least we really only add style sheets at the page level. We don't do it at the domain level. I don't think you can. I'm pretty certain you can't. But you would add the style sheet here. So if you wanted to do any sort of CSS like font treatment or anything fancy, you would do that in this section, hit save code, and then close it out. On the right-hand side here, I've already been referencing it, but with your page itself, you have some page properties that you get to set. So you have keywords, the description, and then also the page title. So these are important just from an SEO perspective. These pages typically aren't incredibly optimized for SEO. However, when someone hits a tab and they see that, when someone hits an ad or a link and they see the title on the URL, you want it to show the purpose of your page. So you want to update the title, the description in case it shows up in search results. And then you have different options like the background, color, default text. This is the styling I talked about with the template, some things like that. Also here with the goals, when you track a conversion, it can be a number of different things. So typically the form submission is automatically tracked as a conversion. And then you can also track other things as conversions. If you add a phone number button on here, and I think we added a button, so I'm just going to make it a phone number button. I think I hid this section, perhaps because it looked bad. All right, so when I do this, and then I say I want the action to be call a number, and then I'm going to put our number in here. Now, when I go to goals, you can see the phone number. So currently, this is not tracking as a conversion. So let's say I have 100 visitors and 10 people call the phone number, and they don't submit the form. Then I will show no conversions, and that's a little bit misleading. We have a whole nother series that talks about CallRail, which uses call tracking. But you want to know how well your page is converting, especially if you rely on phone calls, which a lot of our businesses get a lot more phone calls than form submissions. So you can click this button here, and now it will track when someone clicks that phone number. Now it's important to know that this does not track the same way that AdWords does by looking at a 30-second call and then making that a conversion, or the way CallRail does by looking at a number of different variables of the phone call. This just basically means if someone clicks the phone number, it's going to track as a conversion, and that's it. So 10 people could click that phone number, could press it, and it wouldn't even, maybe not even make a call, and not finish the process, and it would still track as a conversion. So this is only one way to track conversions. Maybe it's used as kind of a rough indicator, but just an FYI that it doesn't track the same way as AdWords or a third-party system like CallRail. That's the high-level interface of the editor itself. The elements here on the left, you have your different pages, like all these page elements, and then you have your settings here on the right. Don't forget desktop and mobile, and then your custom sheets. There are a lot of other little nuances to this page, but that's a high-level view. Now I'm going to hit save and hit this icon here at the top, and now this shows the page settings. And in the page settings, you have a number of different things you can look at. You can do A/B testing, which we're going to talk about in a future video, but this allows you to create new variants, duplicate this variant, change the weight if you have multiple variants, reset stats. So this is your it calls the A/B test center. Down here in the middle, you'll see metrics for your conversion rate as time progresses. On the right-hand side, you can view all the leads that have been submitted through your form, or you can generate a CSV file of your leads. When you click this, you have a number of different options: a custom date range, today, yesterday, last week, last month, all leads, a number of the common options when you're doing that type of an export. Basic form integrations allow you to email new leads to, let's say, Adam at ParaCore. And then when I hit confirm email settings, that means that anytime the form is submitted, it's going to go right to my email address. You can also put your client email addresses in there or anyone else that needs to get those. And then a webhook is used if you're pulling into a third-party system, maybe through Zapier. Well, I have another option down here, but we used to do Zapier through this webhook area, or maybe you just have a custom integration set up somehow. When you scroll further down, you have the native integrations like HubSpot, Constant Contact. And so when you hit one of these, you're actually asked to authenticate with account. So like this is a HubSpot ID that we did quite a long time ago that is not authenticated anymore for this client. So I would do cancel. But basically you authenticate with the account, and then it pushes the leads in there automatically for these different systems. So you have ActiveCampaign, Salesforce, Infusionsoft, Marketo, a lot of the real popular ones. Recently, Unbounce introduced this Zapier integration that allows you to push your data into a lot more systems than you were able to before. I mean, you can just see that you have Slack notifications. You also have webhooks, which is kind of duplicated. You have SharpSpring, which is a CRM sort of deal, Sugar CRM, Mailgun, which is an email provider, Streak, which is used through Gmail. So you have all these different options now through Zapier that they didn't have before. So this is really cool because it has taken the number of integrations from native, which was I think 11 here, up to hundreds. It keeps asking me to authenticate, but I'm not going to. And so that's a really good option if you need to push any of your data anywhere else. On the left-hand side here, these are the same settings that we saw before. So users, settings for the domain, domains, and then pop-up sticky bars. So if I click on pop-up sticky bars, for example, I start to see we've created a couple. We have an ebook download that we just published recently. We've got our call rail guide, which is a sticky bar, so we're seeing that conversion rate. This is a workshop that we put together. So these are, again, another video that we're going to be talking about later, but this is where you find the sticky bars. And then when I go back to pages, you're actually going to see a number of groups over here, which is how I group some pages that we are building. So if you have a lot of pages, and this ParaCore client has 33, you might want to group them. Some of our clients like to group them from as far as inactive or active, or things like that, like the status of the page, or you can do products, whatever the case may be. On the right-hand side here, you're going to see a traffic usage report. This shows you how much traffic in your plan you're using. And then this feature here is really cool, to download your leads CSV. This is something that I literally didn't see for like a year and a half or 2 years until someone that works with me downloaded leads for the entire client. And this is awesome. This will save you a ton of time during reporting. You can download all the leads for the entire client here, or you can click into each page and then download the leads through each page. But if you have a lot of pages, then downloading all those leads can take forever. So this is a really cool one because this downloads leads by client. So that's pretty awesome. All right, that is the overview of the Unbounce page interface, setting up a new page, the editor, and then just some of the individual page settings. I hope you found the screencast informative. In the next video, I'll cover managing landing pages, including domain setup. If you found the video helpful, let me know by clicking the like button. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below, and you'll be notified the second I release a new video. If you have any questions or need some direction, leave a question or comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.